All right, Savages, did you know that the number of stakeholders that are involved in your deals, even if you're selling in the SMB, is more than likely double than what you think it is today? And if you're not winning as many deals as you'd like, this message is going to be for you, because what I'm going to walk you through is helping you understand who the stakeholders are in your deals, how to sell to them, and then break down some best practices that you can implement today around how to multi-thread and get deep in your deals. And it's going to help you win more deals and win them faster. So stick around to the end, because there's some amazing things that I'm going to share with you. So when you think about this, there was a study done and they asked, how many stakeholders do you think are in SMB deals? And they asked reps. The average rep thought there's around 3 stakeholders in a deal. But the reality is there's double that. Think about that. Even if you're selling SMB, there could be 6 stakeholders in your deals. And then when you think about the same question went to enterprise reps, asked the reps, how many stakeholders do you think are in your deals? And they said between 5 or 6, but the reality is it's 8 or more. So think about this. If you are losing deals or your deals are stalling and they're not getting done in the time frame that you think they should be, this is a big reason why, most likely, because there's people that you're not even interacting with and getting bought in. Because at the end of the day, in order to get a deal done, you're going to need a lot of yeses, decision by committee. And different people play different roles, and you have to sell to them in different ways because fundamentally they care about different things, and that's what you're going to learn. So the big 4 stakeholders that I'm going to share with you is the economic buyer, the user buyer, technical buyer, and the champion. So I'm going to talk through who they are, what they care about, how to sell them, so you get a yes for them in your deals. So who's the economic buyer? They're the person that ultimately approves and signs the contracts. And it's usually a top executive, VP, C-suite in your deals. Now, what they think about is not what a product can do, but how can a product impact the organization? And what type of leverage does this give me against my budget allocations? Because every dollar they give to you is $1 they can't give somewhere else. So you have to help them understand the broader impact of your solution in their business. So the more that you can make it broad, the more it's going to help you. Now, their exact title is going to change depending on your deal size, how big of an impact your solution can have, and just other miscellaneous conditions. So if you're selling a smaller deal that has a narrow scope, the person who ultimately has signing power may be a director. If you're selling an enterprise deal that's multiple 6, 7 figures, it's most likely going to be someone in the C-suite. So you need to understand that for your different deals, and it's going to change. Now, I mentioned this earlier, but just to double down, product familiarity is often minimal. Sales reps waste a lot of time and energy helping the economic buyer become a product expert. At the end of the day, they don't care. What they care about is the impact. So save your energy with the economic buyer and use it elsewhere and focus your energy in different ways to help win them over. And speaking of winning them over, this is how you do it. Number 1, align your solution to a business-wide initiative. The broader the impact your solution can have, the more your economic buyer cares about it. Because guess what? Think about their incentive structures, compensation plan. They're often tied to large metrics for the business. So if you can anchor your solution to company-wide metrics, you're going to have the attention of the economic buyer. Make sure you have a business case that is vetted and realistic. And here's what I mean by this. Work with them to build the business case. And when I say work with them, ideally it's the economic buyer. Definitely work with your champion, other people in the business. Because if you just put a business case on their doorstep and it's not easy for them to understand and they don't believe it, it doesn't matter. So make sure the business case is simple and vetted and that their team is a part of building that. Next is help them understand how other organizations like them are successful. So when I'm an economic buyer, I'm going to be more risk averse because the impact of my decisions have a massive impact on the organization. So because of that, anything that you could do to de-risk my decision-making process is going to make me more willing to make a decision faster. So think about that. What are the things that I'm going to want to know? Well, I'm going to want to know, how do other economic buyers in my position, how do they make decisions quickly? But more importantly, how are they successful with your solution? So with you prescribing and educating them how other people just like them not only made decisions quickly, but were successful with implementing your solution, that's going to go a long way to help them feel comfortable saying yes on the dotted line. And that's the economic buyer. The next person I want to dig into is the user buyer. Who are they? These are the people that are the end users that are directly impacted by your solution. So let's think about a CRM as the example. The CRM, the end user is going to be an account executive, a sales rep. So I'm going to be impacted the most because I am the one who's responsible for ultimately adopting this thing. So that's the end user. Now, many of them are going to use it if you're selling to a sales organization of 300 sales reps and 50 managers. That's great, but there usually only going to be a handful of them that are going to be a part of the evaluation process. So identifying who they are is going to be helpful for you. And what they focus on isn't the big picture macro organizational. What they care about is just practical things on a day-to-day basis. How is this going to help them do their daily work? And what they're going to care about is how does your product change their job? Think about this. If you're selling an AI solution, AI scares a lot of people that are end users because why? They might be worried about them losing their job. So helping them feel comfortable about how this can impact their job in a positive way is going to go a long way for them to be successful. And that's who they are. So how do you win them over? Number one, don't align your solution to this massive business case. Focus on you helping me as a sales rep do my job better. It's really that simple. And if you can help me connect the dots on how this helps me, hit my numbers, right? Well, if I'm a sales rep, will this help me make more money? Will this help me hit quota at a higher clip? Will this give me more time with my family? Whatever that is, make sure your business case is a local business case and it's focusing on them, not the business. Now, and what I want to warn you of, do not underestimate the power that they have. They can certainly say no in your deals, even though they can't be the ultimate yes. So think about that. It doesn't matter, if everyone is a fan of your technology, if the sales rep aren't going to adopt your CRM, that's not going to work. So they're going to be important in the ultimate sign-off process. Because if they're excited, the people that are ultimately responsible for using this every day, that's going to trickle up the chain and it's going to help you get more momentum in your deals. So that's the user buyer. Next I want to dig into is the technical buyer. Who are they? Traditionally, these people are in IT, but there's other nuances to it. I'll get to that in a sec. And what they're responsible for is checking vendors and products against specific criteria so that they can ultimately vet people out, because that's one of the first things that they're going to do. And they're critical in the sales process, especially for startups, people that are selling and implementing technical solutions, right? Because what they want to do is they want to weed out the people that can't check their boxes. And as a sales rep, I understand that could be frustrating, but I'll explain to you how to get through that in the next slide. But that's what they do. And they're going to ask tough questions. That's part of their job. Because, look, at the end of the day, if you implement a CRM, guess who's going to be ultimately responsible for helping to maintain it and help make sure it's successful for the organization? The people that are on the technical side. So know that going into it. And what they're going to be focusing on is making sure they understand the technical requirements that the organization has and making sure you have clarity with them of what their technical requirements are when you're selling those products. So making sure that's an early part of your conversations. And I mentioned this earlier, but technical buyers aren't always in IT. Sometimes they could be in legal or finance because when it comes to structuring an agreement and the terms of service, those are things that are black and white technical. So that's where they could be a part of the evaluation process, just to make sure you're on the same page with them during the deal. So now we know who they are. How do we win them over? Number one, help them do their job. They're just doing their job. They're going to ask tough questions. That's literally what they're there to do. Help them do it. Don't fight them. Big mistake sales reps make is they get so frustrated when someone from IT says, hey, I just need to see a demo. I just need to see what this thing can do. They're vetting you out. They're vetting to see whether or not you can do what they want it to do, right? Help them do it, and you're going to help win them over. Number two, Spend time and get clear on the decision criteria they're looking for. And when I say clear, this has to be black and white, because that's how they think, that's how they operate. So spend the time and get clear on the decision criteria. And you need to educate as needed, because sometimes their decision criteria might be outdated. So when you're digging into the decision criteria, ask them why specific areas are a part of it and help prioritize as needed. So take the time to do it and improve your relationships and help win them over. Now, as I mentioned a minute ago, they're ultimately responsible for helping to implement, maintain, manage, improve the solution that you're selling to them. So wouldn't it be logical to not just try to sell them on how great your solution is, but also how are they going to be left to make sure it's continuing to be successful? Because no one wants to re-implement a CRM every year or two. So help them understand what happens after the sale. What's the onboarding process look like? What's going to be required from them to maintain the solution? Because even if they're not hourly talking about it, that is in the back of their mind. And that's a great way to win them over, because if you can make me understand as IT or as a technical team what's going to be required of our team up front to make sure that this is successful, you're going to go a long way to get credibility with me. As you're going through the process with them, get their sign off. The criteria is black and white. Help them understand how you address the criteria. And as you're going through it, make sure you get black and white answers. Mr. and Mrs. Technical Buyer, does this address that decision criteria? Does this address your concern around this area? Yes or no? Anything less than that, you've got to get clarity. And last but not least, do not BS IT or technical buyers. They've been sold a bad bag of goods before, and they're very skeptical in the first place. So don't BS them, because they can smell that a mile away. If you don't know the answer to a technical question, don't try to fake it. There's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, that's a great question. I have a feeling about the answer, but I'm not 100%. Let me get back to you in the next 24 hours on that. Sound good? They're going to respect you more, because you're going to be honest with them and you're going to have credibility with them, because they know you're not going to have all the answers. And their job is to challenge you to ask the tough questions so that they can vet you out. So embrace that. Don't BS them, and you'll go a long way with having better relationships with them. So that's a technical buyer. Now, last but not least, and this is my favorite person in a deal, and this is the champion. Champions can make or break sales cycles. And if you're not investing into identifying and building champions, I guarantee you're not winning as many deals as you can and should be. So who are they? They guide you through the sales process. They're the one that helps you understand, if you want to get a deal done, this is how you do it. Think about how powerful it is as a seller. If you ever feel like you're flying blind in a deal, you're probably lacking a champion. Now, they might be, they may be, inside the account, or they may even be outside the account, but ideally they're inside, because what they're going to do is they're going to give you the insider scoop of how to get things done. Now, they could be a stakeholder or the one that introduced you to the organization, because at the end of the day, this is a person that's vouching for you. They're the one that wants you to be successful, and they're going to help you understand the selling process. They're going to help you understand all the stakeholders involved so that you can appropriately navigate. You might be thinking there's 4 people. They are a great person to help you see, here's the actual 8 or 9 people that you need to get aligned with. And what I love the most about a champion is when they're a verified champion, they're going to sell for you behind closed doors when you're not there. Because let's think about it. The time that you spend with the buyers is only a fraction of the amount of time that they actually spend evaluating. So you're going to need those people that are going to scream from the rooftops that your solution is the right solution behind closed doors. And something to call out, this role is a very informal role and a voluntary role. And this is very much a relationship-based role for you in your deals. So what makes a good champion? Because this word gets thrown around a lot. So I just want to call out what is and isn't a good champion. So number one, they believe you. They're bought into you. They're bought into your solution. They believe you're credible, and they're on your side. And they've told you that. It's not just a feeling. You don't just have good rapport with them. You ask them, hey, are you a believer in us? Do you think we're the right solution? Do you think we're here to help? Right? Number two, they're credible to stakeholders. Just because someone's a fan of you, if they can't get you in the right room with the right people, with the economic buyers, technical buyers, the people that are a part of the decision-making committee, if they don't have credibility there, they do not qualify for a champion. So what you're going to want to do is test whether or not they can get you in the right room. And if not, they could be a great person for you to learn from and get intel in the organization, but they're not a full-blown champion. And then number 3 is they want you to succeed in this opportunity for their reasons. So this is where you need to understand, what do they care about? And selfishly, what do they get out of your project being successful? Ask them. Do not guess. And that's going to help you be successful. Pro tip, you need to have someone that's at least 2 out of these 3, if not 3 out of the 3, for someone to even qualify as a champion. So if you're losing deals, stalling deals, it's normally because you thought you had a champion or you didn't, because you didn't vet them, or you never took the time to even try to get a champion in the first place, because you need one, especially if you're selling complex deals. So that's the champion buyer. Now, what I want to walk you through next is, how do you win them over? Figure out who meets the criteria, and you want to invest in their success. So step 1 is fleshing out and identifying who your potential champion is. And like I said a minute ago, figure out what's in it for them. What will make them successful to help them be on your side and be a true champion in your deal. Now, test their willingness to be your champion early. A great way to test this is them introducing you to a key stakeholder. If they're not willing to do that, or if they're not comfortable doing it, or even worse, they do it and it doesn't carry any weight and it doesn't work, that tells you what you need to know about this person, and they're not really a champion. But when they do that, that's how you flesh them out as a verified champion for you. And one of my favorite things to do with a champion is over-communicate with them. Over-communicate. They're your best friend in the deal. Tell them everything that you're working on. Create a communication cadence. Ask for the same for them. And that's going to go a long way. You should be texting your champion almost on a daily basis, if not a weekly basis, for the deals that you're working, right? And that's going to go a long way to help avoid any of the confusion of, hey, what's the customer working on? What's the sales organization working on? Gets everyone on the same page through you and your champion. And that's how to win them over. And if you do that, that's going to drive a lot of success and help you grow. So to bring this home, I just talked through the economic buyer, technical buyer, user buyer, and the champion, who they are, how to sell to them. Now I want to help you understand, how do you get deep and wide in your deals? Multi-threading. How does that work? What do you do? So I'm going to give you some tactical, actionable things that you can implement right now so that you can win more deals and win them faster. So number 1, practice the golden rule. If you don't know what the golden rule is, treat others how you wish to be treated. Do not try to look past somebody who's your initial contact, just try to get to power. All you're going to do is rub them the wrong way. Be grateful for them. So treat people how you would want to be treated, and you'd be very surprised how far that's going to go to help you get deeper and wide. The first person you work with, building on the golden rule, deliver value for them. Even if they're low level in the organization, help them see value, help them get a win, because they got a job to do too. So help them with the win, help understand how you can help them be successful, and that's going to increase their willingness to broker introductions to other stakeholders in the organization and give you the reality of how to win the deal, and maybe, just maybe, turn them into a champion. I mentioned this a minute ago. Get on a texting basis ASAP with your champion or potential champion. This is a must, and I can give you a talk track for that if you'd like. But make sure you are texting with them, because if you're not texting with them, they're probably not a real champion, because you're not on that type of relationship level. So get on that ASAP with your champion. It's going to go a long way to help you in your deals. Tie your champion or your initial contact, tie it to an initial broader problem than they most likely came to you for. And the reason why is because one of the things you're trying to do when you're trying to sell larger deals is you're trying to anchor your solution to company-wide problems, not role or department problems. And when you do that, that up-levels the impact of your solution. That also helps them understand that when this has a broader implications, then other stakeholders need to be involved. So then they're going to be more willing to help get these other stakeholders involved, because if you help them understand how this problem that they're trying to solve is tied to a bigger thing than just maybe what they were thinking about, that's going to help accelerate you getting in touch and building relationships with the other people in the organization. Now, if they have a clear process on how they evaluate, decide in technology, get clarity on that, make it black and white, and also educate them on what an ideal process looks like. And you want to do that as soon as possible, because a big reason why deals stall and deals get lost is because it's not clear. You're in the middle of a sales cycle and you say, I don't know what's next. They're going to do this thing. They're going to respond to an update to the RFP. But what happens after that, right? You should know all the steps in the process from the get-go so that you can align with them, and that's going to accelerate your cycles. And the next thing I want to do is prescribe a mutual plan to help them. A couple words I want to call our keyword is prescribe. Second phrase is help them. Prescribe meaning this: when you go to a doctor, the doctor doesn't ask you your advice when prescribing a solution to your problem. Same thing goes for this. You're the expert in evaluating your solution, not them. You've most likely ran dozens, if not hundreds of evaluations. They've probably never evaluated a solution like yours before. So you're the expert on how to evaluate your project and your solution efficiently and effectively. So don't ask them what steps they'd like to take. You prescribe to them, this is what's going to help you make a decision quickly and effectively, number one. And then also help them understand the implications of not having all the right people at the table. A well-known statistic is 2/3 of technology implementations fail. And it's usually because all the stakeholders aren't aligned from the get-go, and it's not anchored to a clear business solution. So make sure that's a part of the education process so that they don't feel like you're just trying to get access to a bunch of people, because that's not what this is about. This is about them not only making a decision quickly, because think about it. I'm busy. I don't want to spend a bunch of time evaluating, right? I have other things to do. So help me understand how this will save me time evaluating. And then more importantly, help me understand that if I move forward, this is actually going to help us. Right? So that's what you want to do. That's going to help you get deep and wide. Next thing you want to do, align levels internally and externally. So here's what I mean by that. To strengthen being multi-threaded in an account, align different people in the organization, especially if you're selling complex deals. Bring in your leadership, your manager, your RVP, SVP, or even your C-suite if the deals are big enough. And it makes sense, because what that does is that builds credibility of your organization with them. And then the more relationships that are had, the more de-risks the deal. Because let's be honest, things happen. People quit, people get fired, people switch jobs, people get promoted. Things move around all the time. And I'm sure you probably had a deal, because I know I have, that was at the finish line, only to have your primary point of contact go out of office with COVID for a couple weeks and derails the whole thing. Right? This happens. So this de-risks your deal by getting your VP aligned with their VP, your director aligned with their director, right? Your boss with their boss, whatever it is. The more you can have alignment at the different levels in the org chart, the more that's going to help you strengthen. And then what I like to say is make it easy for them to get intros. Ghost write an email for them, right? Go through the extra effort, because if you're giving me homework to do, I have a bunch of things to do already. So any way that you can make it easier for me to broker introduction to other people, like ghost writing emails, that's going to go a long way. And one of my favorite things is facing the place. Facing the place is simply getting on site. And if you're selling large deals, this is a non-negotiable. I can't even tell you how much deeper I got into my accounts as an enterprise sales rep by simply working out of their office for the day. I had such a good relationship with some of my accounts that I would travel to their city and I would ask to borrow a conference room for the day. And they would book me in. And guess what would happen? Come lunchtime, my contact or my champion would ask me if I want to go to lunch with him and a couple colleagues. Guess what happens? Oh, his VP just happens to be one of the people at lunch. Great, introduction, right? These are things that you could do by simply being in person. So facing the place is big. So I've walked you through who are the stakeholders, how to sell them, and how to get deep and wide. And I want you to use this. I want you to implement it. I want you to make a bunch of money. I'm here to help. My name is Justin J. Johnson, founder and creator of the Beautiful Savage Sales Academy. Have an amazing day. I'll see you in the next video.